Hello there, and welcome back to the WZBC YouTube channel. I'm Thomas Holtz, host of The Holtz Effect, and this is the second video in my interview series. Now, this one in particular, I remember being surprised I actually got it, because one, he's hard to reach, and two, he seemed like a very eccentric individual at the time. Now, that's not really true, but if you do look at his videos, you might disagree. The man is Ian Worthington, better known as Worthikids, and he is an animator slash musician. At the time of the interview, he had just released a breakthrough series called Bigtop Burger. He had had another viral success at the time called Palpatine's Journey, which is spoofing the end of The Rise of Skywalker, the Star Wars movie. But Bigtop Burger was his own creative breakthrough. So he gathered a very impressive cast of all stars, some great industry veterans, some new to the scene, a lot of them breaking it big now, and we'll get into those roles later. But him as an animator, you can't find much about him online. So I went out to ask him what his creative process was, what inspired him musically, and what else he'd been up to at the time. So yeah, it was a very fun interview. I must say, he was very refreshing. He had great energy. It was really fun talking to him. So I hope that radiates through when you're watching this. Enjoy.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Doing all right. Yeah, just waking up. It's 12:25 here. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Same here. Same here.
Same
Eastern
here. Right,
time.
you're Michigan. All right. Thank you again for agreeing to do this interview. I'm hyped.
No problem. No problem. I'm excited.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I had donuts this morning.
Nice.
So it's a good morning.
That is a good morning. I haven't had a donut in a long time myself. All right. So you want to get right to it?
Sure. I'm down.
All right. So first of all, I mean, you just finished your series, Bigtop Burger, but you also, my understanding is you just released another song for a fellow animator. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. So a friend of mine, fellow animator Joni Phillips, as a kind of dare, made a 48-hour TV show. It's 15 minutes long. She made the whole thing in 48 hours. It's called Joni Phillips Makes a Better TV Show Than Alec Did is the full title. It's for Bug TV. They're like a subscription service. And I offered my help because I was like, I'm not doing anything. I thought it'd be fun. And so I kind of helped write little parts of the script. I animated one scene. I did some voice acting. And then I ended up doing all the music for it, which was a lot of fun.
So I understand the description of the video says the lyrics are riffed. I was wondering, how did you write it? What did that mean?
So Joni told me, I was like, should the lyrics like be about the show at all? She's just like, just riff them, just do whatever on the spot. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, okay. So I had the vocal melody kind of in my head, and I was just like, okay. I mean, I can't pretend like it was like completely off the dome because I did multiple takes, and each one I kind of slowly built out what I was gonna say, but I didn't write anything down. It was just, I mean, I forget what the lyrics are. It's something like, I know this street, I know this town, I know that sign, something like that. I'm just like ripping stuff out.
It was like Bruce Springsteen-ish to me.
Yes, that was the example. Joni, we were all kind of co-writing together. There were three of us, and one of the other co-writers was like, "This could be a fun ending song," and she links "Streets of Philadelphia" by Bruce Springsteen. So I put it on, and I'm like, you know, I tell Joni, I'm like, oh, I can kind of sing in this style, so I'll give it a go. It ended up being more bombastic than Streets of Philadelphia, which is very low key, but still, that was definitely my goal, was to sound like Bruce.
Glad I picked up on that then. All right, so let's move on to what you've been doing lately. You just finished your series Bigtop Burger about a month ago. How has that been? So far, you've been getting a lot of great feedback.
Yes, it's been way more successful than I thought it was. I mean, I was hoping it would be successful. I could build up momentum because it's like a consecutive thing, but it's still it's done really well, which is exciting. And I haven't gotten too many people like demanding I make more of it straight away, which is good because I was worried people were gonna like come for me, but I think people are willing to wait for more, which is nice.
Though I gotta ask though, I was a little confused when I first watched it. I had to go through it a few times to understand what did you have in mind when you decided, okay, I'm gonna make a food truck that's clown themed?
Okay, so the original Bigtop Burger idea, it was a pizza place called Free Pizza, and everyone there was a clown. And this was very inspired, I guess, just by McDonald's, by like a fast food place run by clowns. And I ended up changing it because the setting of a pizza place is set, so that's kind of boring. It'd be fun if it could move, so they go a food truck. And then I changed it to burgers just because, I mean, it's already, McDonald's burgers. It should just be burgers. That was basically it. And I had this mental image of the opening of a food truck speeding by and like get a close up at the side of it. And maybe there's like a bass riff. That was always in my head from an early point. So I was like, okay, it has to be a food truck.
Okay, that's pretty fun. So basically, it's a tongue-in-cheek reference to McDonald's.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Okay. All right, so how'd you go with casting for that? The voice cast is great. You have a lot of celebrities on there. I was wondering, what exactly did you do for the main cast, and how did you get your guests?
When I was pretty early on in designing it, I started to have ideas in my head of who I wanted to cast. And I tried to keep my ideas limited to people I thought I could get, right? I didn't want to like get, any too big ideas.
Yeah.
And so it was mostly people who I was mutuals with on Twitter, although I hadn't like talked to a lot of these people, but I knew they knew my work. So I was like, okay, maybe if I offered them some cash, they would be down. Except Lindsay Small-Batera, who's a fellow animator. We were friends. So it was I was like, hey, do you want to be in a thing? She's like, sure. But for like Tim Batt and like Olivia Craighead, I hadn't really talked to them before. I just sort of DM'd them on Twitter and was like, hey, you want to be in this thing?
Okay. And because I mind if I name drop quick for you?
Sure.
I just got to look because you have quite a list here. You got Tim, you just mentioned. He was a nominee for the Billy T Award in New Zealand. Guy Montgomery, his podcast co-host, who won the Billy T Award. Then you got Tom Willett and Chris Fleming, both YouTube veterans. Soo-Won Cho, who's done voice work Cartoon Eric in Borderlands 3. Ayo Edibiri, who will be in Big Mouth soon. And then on Patreon, you have Adam Muzo of Adventure Time producing you. It's bananas.
Yes. I only noticed Adam Muto was there when I saw a YouTube comment about it. Someone was like, isn't Adam Muto the Adventure Time producer? Did anyone else see him in the credits? I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, that's wild. Because, the Patriots cover, I don't really notice all the names. You have to kind of copy paste them. But the one I'm very excited about is Tom Willett because he's a YouTuber and he's like in his 80s. But he's also a film actor. He's been in a bunch of really famous movies, but he's always in the background of like crowd shots. He's in like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and stuff. And that makes me so, it's a small thing, but I think it's cool that he's in all those things.
Yes, it is really cool. I mean, all I can say is you got to find establishment here.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, sir. Your burger's on the way.
It's no trouble. You've got a fine eatery here, ma'am.
So I want to talk the music for the show. It's very good. And I was really cheering on top. I haven't heard anything that's like alternative rock that's good in a long time. And you
really?
For Up, yeah. I hadn't heard anything like that in a while. I was very hyped about it.
Thank you so much.
I want to know, how'd you write it and how'd you record it? Go through the list with me.
So Up is it's slightly influenced by an older song I made a while ago that I don't really recommend people check out because it's kind of a less good version of Up. It's called Hall Monitor, and it's for my album Bikini Bottom. It's based on the episode of SpongeBob Hall Monitor. But the only thing I kind of took from it was an idea that I actually got from a different band who are not alternative rock at all. They're a British band called Sleaford Mods, and they do this. It's all like very simple drum loops, like a fake drum loop, and then a bass riff, and then the vocalist just kind of starts ranting on top of it. He doesn't really sing; he kind of rants over it. And I love this. I love this band, and I really love simple sounds in music where it's like very clean. There's no reverb. It's very dry. Yeah. And so when I made Hall Monitor, and in that one I'm singing, I'm not singing at all. It's very Sleaford Modsy. And so Up was me taking that idea and being like, I want to move a little bit more toward like an anime opening or something. So it's a bit more punky. It's more punky. And I wanted the vocals to sound a bit like David Byrne, like kind of, eccentric, like, ooh.
Warbly.
Yes. And originally this song was just the bass riff. I always write the riffs first. I love playing bass. Bass comes up a lot. I think it's a great basis for like a punky song because it has if it's distorted, it brings in a guitar energy, but it's also the bass. It's obviously so. You don't really need as much guitar if it's big enough in the mix, which I really like. It's easy. And the original verse vocals, I just did scratch vocals. I was like going, and I didn't have the verse. And then the chorus, that was easy because it's just kind of sort of the lyrics to a Cats song, right? Up to the heaviside layer. But I came up with the verse lyrics like a couple weeks later, and I kind of came up with some lore stuff when I was writing the lyrics. And then the second chorus, I wanted to switch it to down to the center of the earth, which I don't normally do. I kind of normally copy paste my choruses because I'm very lazy, but I'm glad I put in the effort to have it be a different thing.
So I got to ask you about the Cats thing, actually. It seems to be a thing across your channel. You reference it in episode Kid. It's in the song Up. But then you did a whole reanimation as its own video.
I did.
What's the deal? What is the deal with Cats with you?
So the trailer for Cats 2019 came out, and everybody was saying you have to watch this. It's a big hoot. It's a laugh. And I watched it, and it is a hoot, and it is a laugh. But I knew nothing about Cats, other than it has the song Memory, which I hadn't really heard. And so I really like the motif used in the trailer, the bum 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 bum. It got me interested. I'm like, I want to see this thing. So I watched the 1997-ish cast recording of Cats, and I'm laughing because it's wild. It's a wild play, but it has this way of getting to you where it's like it kind of all seems like a joke, but the music gets in your head, especially that motif, and I'm like, I kind of like that, and it eventually started to switch from, I think I became what I imagine most Cats fans are like, which is like, yeah, this is a wild and crazy kind of joke thing, but it's also kind of cool. And it kind of knows it's a joke. So you can't really make fun of it for being a joke because it's like, it's self-aware enough. So I guess I just became a Cats fan. And now I've seen the 2019 movie, I think 5 times. And so, I made that reanimation as like, that was kind of just, I was really in a rut. I didn't have any ideas, and I wanted to do something really kind of dumb and not ambitious to kind of reassert the weirdness of my channel. Like I wanted to do something just silly, just like a reanimation. And then I ended up putting it in Bigtop Burger just because I was trying to think of lyrics for Up, and I was like, well, I remember my thought process. It's supposed to be kind of an anime opening song, and those are always about getting, pumped up. So it's kind of obvious to be like, okay, I'll say up, up, up. And I'm like, up, 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 where? Oh, to the heaviside layer. And then I kind of, I strung it out from there. And it's kind of become part of the Bigtop lore, but like.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next song then. What exactly is the deal with Cup? I know it's kind of a clown up joke, but it's not in the show.
I didn't think of that.
I thought it was like a portmanteau, like you mashed the words together.
No,
it's all circusy. Okay, so what's the deal with that?
No.
It's not in the show. It's a funny little song, but I was wondering what the
deal
was.
So it is very briefly in the compilation episode because there's a joke in Elk that I ended up cutting.
You're listening to 102.5 Food Truck Radio, where we only play Weird Al.
As you should.
Weird Al music?
Yes. So the original joke that I sent to my friend Tyler, who voices the radio announcer for Food Truck Radio, the full joke was, you're listening to Food Truck Radio where we only play Weird Al.
Weird Al, as you should.
Yes. And I cut that out of the full episode because it didn't fit the pacing. I wanted, these are short episodes. Yeah. But when I was doing the compilation, I was like, still have the voice. I'll extend it to the full clip. And then I put in another one, Ride to the Bus, which is and it only plays that one part of it. And I was like, that's not, I want it to be a reference. It needs to be a Weird Al song that like makes sense. Like they're not on a bus, so that's not a very good reference. So I was thinking, I'm like, oh, what Weird Al song would make sense here? I'm like, I know. If he did a parody of Up, that would make perfect sense. And so I tried to cook up a parody for Up. And the first lyric that came to mind was cop, 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 just one solo cop left. And yeah, it's not in the show, but that's just a thing where, I start to do the beginning of it and I can't help but be like, okay, but what would his parody lyrics be? Okay, well, how would he do that part? And then I kind of strung it out. But I didn't do the whole song.
So that explains the accordion. Okay. I thought it was like a circus theme myself.
No, yeah, and one fun thing is because I don't have an accordion, I use my concertina, which is what it's like a piratey instrument, and I added a chorus effect because that actually imitates an accordion quite well. An accordion is basically a bigger concertina with more reeds. So that was my trick.
All right, so then I got to ask you about the next one, Down. So that was
Down.
pretty fun metal. I'm getting a lot of like that's basically Cesaire's character being angry at Steve. Like you come from your hole in the ground. What's the
Yes.
deal with that?
So, the lyrics to Down. That was when I was building out the lore for his character, and a lot of that stuff won't happen until season 2. So I wanted to be there to like for people who want to read the lyrics to be like, oh, how interesting, and then it'll make sense later. Well, like I guess just an Easter egg. But the instrumental, it was originally just the instrumental, and I came up with the vocals later. But the instrumental was just, you know, when they're introduced, they're quite metal. I mean, they have like a big Rob Zombie poster. They're quite hardcore. So that's all I could think of.
I gotta ask you, speaking of which, for that, I thought it was a very funny episode. The voice actors did a great job. But particularly what Chris Fleming did, I understand his scene was improvised. It was absolute genius. And I was laughing from the Bilbo reference. I come from a very big Lord of the Rings family. I found it very enjoyable. But I also understand that wasn't the original line, so it was like mutated into that.
Oh, you want a roughhouse, huh? Oh, you want to take some sucker shots at my banana cage? You want to take some sucker shots at my banana cage, Bilbo? Well, let's tango!
Yes, the original line that I wrote was the first line I wrote for his character, and I had him in mind. I kind of designed the character for him, and the line I wrote was, "Oh, you want a rough house, huh? You want to take pot shots at my ripe underbelly, Bilbo?" Which was meant to be like a Smog thing, you know, like Smog's big ripe underbelly. And Chris read the line like that, and he had a really funny reading of it. I included it in the outtakes at the end of the compilation, but he then I gave him permission, obviously, you know, he's an amazing improviser. I'm like, just go for it. And it was very funny because he's kind of riffing, and then he pauses and he goes, "What's a banana cage?" And I'm like,
that's what I was thinking.
I'm like, go to Google. I'm like, banana cage. All I get are images of Nicolas Cage photoshopped into a banana. Like, that's it. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. And he's like, I'm gonna say banana cage here. Okay. And then he says the line, and I'm like, cool. I don't know.
That's funny. So that was just made up. All right.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Okay. What about the others? Was there anything else improvised on that?
So the other characters in Zomburger, most of them, I wasn't on calls with them. Because they have so few lines, I was just like, you know, you do it in your own time and send me a recording. And so I couldn't really direct the voices as much, but it was also, that was someone and Aya who were both very good. So like, I didn't feel like I needed to.
Okay. All right then. Well, again, I guess I gotta ask you about the last track, which is the reprise of Up. It's very mellow. I like it a lot. What exactly inspired you to do the remix?
So I had the old episodes planned out, and I knew when I got to Grease Paint, I wanted to have this mellow moment where they're taking the makeup off and there's no like dialogue there. And so I was like, okay, well, there needs to be a song. And so I got out the guitar and I just started playing some acoustic riff, and I realized, I'm like, oh, this is in C. Oh, Up is in C. Oh, I'm just playing Up. Okay. I didn't mean for it to be a reprise, but I was like, can I try and sing over this? I'm like, oh yeah, it works. I can sing the same line over it, so I'll just have it be the same song. That was it. That was the whole idea.
So that was really interesting. Okay. Also, you say it's in C? I think it was a key down, right? It's like in B or something, right?
I think it's
B
C.
minor. Maybe?
It should be open C. Yeah. It's
an open C. Okay. Sorry. That's me trying to work out the pitch in my head. All right. Well, then that's all the songs for that. But I was wondering, how did you record it and produce it? I myself am like a gear nerd, so I'm just like wondering if you could take.
Okay. I record all my music in my bedroom and sometimes the attic, because if I'm doing loud vocals, I want to go up to the attic. But I record on a laptop. It's like a gamer laptop. I'm trying to remember the name of the specific gear. I have an audio interface. It's a Behringer, and it's like a tiny little Behringer audio interface. I've had it for like a couple years, and I kind of want to upgrade, but like it does work. And then my microphone, it's the MXL something. I'm blanking out now. It's like a $60, $70 microphone. So I think it's I really like it because it sounds good. I've had it for years, and it's inexpensive. I used to use the Blue Yeti for when I did like Bikini Bottom, like my older albums. And I'm glad I upgrade because it does sound a lot better. Even though it's not a high-end microphone, it sounds a lot better. And I have it on an arm, and I just pose it around like in front of the guitar and stuff. But when I want to take it upstairs, it's kind of a hassle because I have to like put everything in a backpack because it's, you know, I have to go up to the attic. It's a whole thing. But it's worth it because, you know, you don't want to be – I live in a house with other people. I don't want to be too loud.
Yeah. Okay, well, it sounds great. Whatever you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, and I should say I record everything in FL Studio 12. I use FL Studio.
All right, nice. Okay, then, so moving on from there, from the music side, I want to get to know you as an animator. So you've done your YouTube stuff for a little while now for your own fun, but I understand you've also done work for Adult Swim. I was wondering how that came about because they're all really good, but I know your earlier stuff is like Eric Andre and like John C. Reilly reanimations.
Yes.
Is that how you got noticed by them?
No, that they didn't even know about those, I don't think, because they reached out to me after I did Palpatine's Journey, which was huge, right? Everybody. And so I got an email from their ad department being like, do you want to do some bumpers for us? And at that point, I was, because Palpatine's Journey was so successful, I called 2020 No Freelance 2020 because I was like, okay, I should focus on the channel. Like, this is my shot. I got to make the shot. But then Adult Swim emails me. I'm like, oh, I can't say no to them. They're Adult Swim. Like, I did fan animations. So, yeah, I did 2 bumpers for them. And I even asked, I was like, oh, the bumpers could be about anything. Can they be like, you know, about Steve Brule, John C. Reilly? And they were like, no, they can't be about any of our properties because that's a separate thing. Those are show-specific bumpers, which is a different, like, tier. So they need to be original. I'm like, okay. So I came up with 2 original ideas. I don't think they're available on YouTube, but you can find them on the Adult Swim Instagram, I think.
Yeah, they're on social media.
Yeah, that's been my only. Well, and other people from Adult Swim have reached out to say hi, but I'm not really interested in working with like studio people right now, just because the channel is working and I really like doing stuff for my channel. So like, I'm just sticking with that.
Okay, then I gotta ask you about your most recent animation, Free Apple.
Free Apple.
I haven't played King Quest, so I didn't get it at first. I had to go through the YouTube comments to understand that. What inspired that? It's very mundane. It's not as zany as your usual animations.
Yes. What inspired it is I really wanted to work with Justin McElroy, you know, my brother and me podcasting fame, I guess. And I noticed he has a voice reel on his YouTube channel. And in his voice reel, he has a clip from my animation, Fix the Baby, which is from his YouTube show. And I was like, oh my gosh, of all the animators who have made animations set to his voice, he picked mine. He must at least know my work. I should email him. So I emailed him and was like, do you want to collaborate on something? And he was like, yes, let me know if you have any ideas. And then I was like, okay, I got to come up with an idea. And all I knew was I was thinking Justin is a big fan of adventure games, specifically FMV, full motion video games. But I was like, I also like adventure games. I love King's Quest. I should try and come up with an adventure game skit. And I just wrote it in like one morning. I was like, okay. It's a king, a shopkeep, I don't know. It's not a specific scene from King's Quest. It's just kind of, you know, it's like a pastiche of like King's Quest-y stuff. Yeah, and the original skit, I think people can guess this, was just the apple part. It's much more typical length for my channel. I think that one part is 1:30 seconds. But I reached the end of that and I was like, what if he respawned? It'd be so funny if he restored and came back and did another attempt at it. So I had to write the whole thing out. Yeah, and then I sent it to Justin to kind of see if he likes it. And he emailed me back the whole thing recorded straight away. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm doing it. I didn't. It was really, it came together really quick. While I was doing Bigtop Burger, or like while I was starting Bigtop Burger, that came together. So the whole while I was working on Bigtop Burger, I had this in the back of my head of like, I'm so excited to make this short. I got to get to it.
Okay, then I got to ask you, the big elephant in the room. You've done animation work for Rick and Morty. That's a big one.
Okay, you're right. You're right. I didn't work directly with Adult Swim there. I worked with Studio Yada. Because I got an email from someone at Studio Yada. This was like a couple years back saying, do you want to join the Discord, do some work for us? I think you'd be good for this Rick and Morty thing. And I'm like, okay, sure. And I ended up animating, I think, 10 shots for this Rick and Morty April Fool's special. It's a Michael Cusack cartoon who's like an Australian animator, but he wanted help from Suyata to help with the animation because it's kind of long. It's like 11 minutes. And so that's how I ended up doing a couple shots for that.
What exactly did you animate? Like, what did you remember the scenes?
It's such a mishmash of different scenes. When there's a part where Morty gets bitten by a snake, and he thinks he's been poisoned by the snake, and he's kind of sickly. I think that was the first shot I did. Is he's like lying there looking sickly, and then I did some other stuff later with this kind of giant character guy who's got like a beard. He's like a giant guy with a beard. I did some shots there.
All right, got it. Okay. And then I did also. Okay, so I'm just going through my list of questions. Don't mind me. Oh yeah, your video game with your brother, with the Witching Hour.
Yeah.
That was like then like a 2-year project. What's that? What's up with that?
So it's been in development for a while, but the demo's coming soon. We're shooting to release the demo this Halloween.
Nice.
So, he's developing that in Unreal Engine. He's doing all the graphics and stuff, but I do the concept art for it. So I kind of design all the characters and the settings. And I'm going to be doing all the music for it, which is going to be done in like a banjo N64 like sequenced style. Sorry, Banjo-Kazooie. I should clarify that. Banjo-Kazooie. But, a lot of N64 games have that like MIDI music style. And I'm also doing like sound effects. But the demo's going to be, I mean, we'll see if it actually comes together on Halloween. We're just kind of doing it in our off time because he has like a job and stuff, and I have my channel. But it's almost done. It's almost done.
Cool. And then, of course, there's the other question about something else to do with skeletons. I know this is an older animation of yours, but Xylophones was absolutely hilarious.
Thank you.
Yes. Anyone who loves music, who I know, they laugh out loud at the animation. It's brilliant.
Is it like the references, like the Tom Waits and stuff?
All that, yeah, it was just genius. Could you tell me? It's been a while, but could you tell us about that one?
Sure. I was so Xylophone came at an interesting time because I think. Well, let me try and remember. I think it was my first animation after a big break because I was doing the freelance for Adult Swim. I think it was. Yeah, so I was in the middle of doing Jason and Friends with my roommate, which was kind of a slow burn project, and I wanted to do something quick, something like a 1 to 2 week long, very quick animation. And so I was trying to cook up ideas, and I was like, okay, maybe it's like a typical like Tenacious D deal with the devil thing, and it's like he doesn't want to play for the audience. It slowly developed into like, okay, no, it's two guys who were very clearly designed to look like Roger Waters and David Gilmour. Yeah. I designed them to look like them because I love the way they look, and then I was like, oh, I can't make them look like them. Let me change the designs. And I tried different hairstyles and different hair colors. I'm like, I hate all these alternate designs. They look best just as a riff-off. And then I kind of riffed the dialogue. I didn't write anything down, but I do take after take and kind of form what I want them to say. And it originally ended at their skeletons, they're unpredictable. And I was like, that's not a good ending. And they have to perform, right? That's the point. And originally they were going to perform a cover of Under My Thumb.
Yes, I remember reading
Okay,
that.
you heard this. Okay. I was going to ask, because I wanted to commission someone on like Fiverr to play real. Well, I was going to do fake xylophone, and I was like, no, come on. Because I love the sound of marimba and xylophone, obviously, from the short.
Yeah.
So I needed to commission someone. It ended up being a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like hundreds of dollars, but it's Fiverr. It's a short clip. It's not too much. This is very similar to the Weird Al thing, right? Where it's like, it was going to be a rep of just a kind of just using another person's work. But I was like, what's they're talking about a song that's popular with skeletons. I want to hear this song, right? What is this song? They apparently wrote some rock song with xylophone in it. I'm like, I want to be the one to write it. Let me try and cut something up. So I came up with this whole song, Set on You.
So how does Set on You come about?
It was late in the process. I think I had all the boards done, and I was like, you know, it was time to come up with the song, and I just grabbed the guitar. I kind of did my usual songwriting process, which is just play a riff, start riffing vocals, and then write lyrics. And I really wanted it. I didn't want it to be about skeletons at all, because that wouldn't make sense in universe, right? They just wrote a song. So they didn't know that it would attract skeletons. So it just needed to be a kind of rock song. Yeah. I got a lot of comments from people saying it reminded them of the Pillows, the Japanese rock band who did music for Foolie Cooley. I wasn't thinking of them. I do love them, but I wasn't thinking of them. And one of the things was Set on You is I was embarrassed releasing it, because I was like, this isn't done how I would normally produce a song, because I really wanted it to sound live. So I didn't double track the vocals. I didn't double track the guitar, because, you know, I wanted to be accurate to like a real live recording. But you know, whatever, I never put out the finished version. So I guess that's the final version.
All right. So that's it. That's like a rough draft. It came out great. I love it. It's like a 90s arena rock. It's
thank you.
And then you have the chant at the end. They get the crowd going.
Yeah.
Genius.
That was hard for me, because I was like, the obvious thing to do would be to add crowd sounds throughout the song, but it's very painful to be producing a song and add in like a recorded crowd, because you're like, oh, this feels so pathetic. So I was like, I didn't have any crowd sounds until the end, where it was a musical decision, right? I want that final chorus to feel bigger. So I recorded a quick crowd. And one thing I've learned about recording crowds, I think a lot of pretty much any music producers try to do gang vocals, figured this out, but it's very interesting to me that you cannot record yourself singing the same vocal over and over, because it won't sound like a crowd. Yeah. Because it just like, you like double track, you triple track, and then anything up from there sounds the same. It just sounds like a washed out version of the same vocal. Yeah. So I think I did like 5 different vocals, just, you know, like in different timbres, right? And when you mix the different timbres together, and they all need to be very off key, suddenly it sounds like a crowd. It's magical how well that works. Yeah.
Are we gonna get a whole album of that, 6-7 Xylophones, or is that gonna get?
I've thought about it. I really like doing shorts just as the one stinger, where it's just like, this is, you know, because it leaves it so much up to the audience to kind of think of the rest. I wouldn't mind doing more with that band, but I probably won't.
Okay. All right. Anything else to expect from the future? What other things you got going, like in the works?
Well, so I have a very ambitious Halloween short that won't come out on Halloween, because it's not anywhere near done. But it's like going to be a long kind of Rankin Bass stop motion-y tribute thing, and it's going to be a musical. I've already written 2 songs for it. I have a couple of those ideas, like musicals, because those are, you know, as someone who does music and animation, it's very fun to mix them together. Other than that, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what shorts come together.
That's usually a thing with you. The Hatbox Ghost was 3D animation. Your Adult Swim bumper in the Haunted House was 3D.
Yes.
And now this. Is it like those things go together in your head? Halloween and Rankin Bass?
Yes. Obviously, Rankin Bass are mainly known for their Christmas specials. And I do like Christmas, but I like Halloween more. And Rankin Bass did one Halloween movie called Mad Monster Party.
I never heard of it.
Nobody has, because it's a bad movie. It's that might get me in trouble with Rankin Bass fan. It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. It's like their best looking. It's their only feature length stop motion film. I'm pretty sure, and it's gorgeous. But the plot is so bad. It's really boring.
The only non-Christmas special I've seen by them is their Here Comes Peter Cottontail one. You ever seen that?
I've seen that. I really like Here Comes Peter Cottontail.
I had a VHS growing up, and my parents, not realizing the value of it, threw it out. It was like we watched it once. I don't know why they did that.
They have a Halloween.
It traumatizes me to this day.
They have a Halloween segment in Peter Cottontail too, with like a witch and stuff.
Yeah.
Mad Monster Party is like it's. I mean, it's a great idea. It's like all these classic monsters go to a huge castle. Boris Karloff plays Victor Frankenstein, and like there's the monster and Dracula and all this stuff. It's a great idea. The character designs are great. It's just really boring writing. I don't know. So I guess in a lot of ways, I'm like, I want to do the Rankin Bass stop motion style, but do more horror stuff and hopefully like less boring horror stuff.
So that's cool. So you're basically continuing what they never did. You're trying to
I guess
put out
so.
there what you
Yeah,
want to see.
I want to fill in this niche that I feel like they didn't successfully fill.
All right. Well, that's about all the questions I have, unless there's anything you want to share. But I do want to ask, who I ask this to all my guests, what have you been listening to recently?
Oh, well, look, I have Spotify open so I can take a peek at my recently played, because I always forget. I'll try. Okay. I've been listening a lot to Billy Talent, who are a Canadian punk band I loved as a teenager. I was really into them as a teen, but I've been revisiting them as an adult, and I still really like them. I do take inspiration from them. Their guitar riffs are really good, and their vocals are like kind of classic, like, you know, new metal-y, not new metal-y, but of that era, the like mid 2000s rock sound. And they have great songwriting. I really like them.
Anyone else?
I stream Love Me Do by the Beatles as a joke over and over and over. Anytime I bring it up, my friends tell me to stream it, and I do. And it's really painful. It has a bad harmonica on it. I don't like it, but I listen to it all the way through every time because it's important to me to stream it front to back. Other than that, I don't know. I guess like a lesser known artist, I'll say I love the music of Sydney Gish, who's like getting popular on Spotify recently. I don't think she's like big in like touring. I mean, obviously not now because of the virus, but she has this amazing song called Sin Triangle. I'm still really inspired by it. It's like low key rock, but the chorus just gets more and more. It just goes harder every time you listen to it. It's a great song.
So actually, that's something to talk about. How's COVID been treating you? I mean, it's also affected you work-wise because you guys from home. So maybe fortunate that way. But I mean, you still got to stay inside and such.
Yes, it's been very similar to my normal life because I already didn't go out much. I'm a reclusive animator. So in some ways I'm going out more now because I got inspired to buy a bike. And so I now go biking a lot, which I would before I would like only walk to the grocery store, and now I'll like bike places. So that's fun. Other than that, it's been, you know, I'll say I've had an urge to go out more right when I can't, which I feel like is of course. I'm like, oh, I'd love to like go to a concert now, and it's like you can't.
So that's about it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you seem to be doing okay. You're very bright-eyed, bushy-tailed right now.
Yeah, I got my donuts.
COVID has not crushed your spirit. I like to see that.
No, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have. I mean, if you want to keep this going, otherwise, thank you for coming on again. This has been fun.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem.